Imagine losing your 3-year-old daughter in the chaos of war. Imagine turning around for only a moment and realizing the tiny hand you were supposed to protect has disappeared into a sea of frightened strangers. No scream, no footprints, no clue, just silence. A silence so sharp it splits open a mother's soul. Now imagine searching for that child for more than 4 decades. 43 years of waiting, of hoping, of growing old with the weight of a single unanswered question pressing on your chest each night. Is my child still alive? And if she is, does she remember me? This is the true story of a family torn apart by war and the incredible reunion that proved love can outlive even time itself. The day the world fell apart. To understand how an entire family's life could collapse in a single moment, we must travel back to March and April of 1975, to the central highlands of Vietnam, where the streets were filled with smoke, panic, and the sound of a nation breaking apart. In Con Tum, people were fleeing in every direction, mothers carrying children, soldiers shouting orders, families abandoning everything, homes, animals, even memories, just to survive one more day. Among them was the small family of Mr. Chow and his wife, Mrs. Mott. They had 5 children, 2 older boys and 3 little ones, ages 1, 3, and 5. The parents made a decision that continues to haunt Vietnamese families from that era. They sent the 2 eldest sons to stay with relatives, hoping the boys would be safer, and took only the younger 3 as they fled along Route 7, a dusty, chaotic road stretching toward Con Hoa. Days blurred into one another, hunger, exhaustion, confusion. People collapsed from the heat. Children cried until their voices turned hoarse. Still, the family kept moving because stopping felt like death. Midway through the journey, they reached the Ja Rang River, but the bridge, the only way forward, had collapsed. Hundreds of families were stranded together with nothing but fear in their pockets. Under the scorching sun, with no shelter and 3 tiny children, every hour felt like a lifetime. And then came the moment that would break this family's future in half. That morning, like many others, Mr. Chow went down to the river to fetch water. The mother, exhausted but determined, laid out a cloth by the roadside where her children could sit safely. The middle child, 3-year-old Nguyen Thi Thu Nha, was holding a small piece of fabric, humming to herself, her curly hair catching sunlight like a halo. Her mother said, "Sit here, sweetheart. I'll be right back." Then she walked just a few meters to grab a clean outfit for her daughter. It couldn't have taken more than a minute, maybe less, but when she returned, her daughter was gone. At first she thought maybe she wandered off, but when she called out, "Nga oi," and there was no answer, the first crack of panic sliced through her. She began shouting louder, searching the crowds, her voice trembling, then rising into a scream that rattled the air. Other families joined the search. People lifted sacks, checked under trucks, looked into the trees, behind abandoned crates, but nothing. No footprints, no cry, no clue, just emptiness. When the bridge reopened, the family traveled to Nha Trang, not because they wanted to, but because the tide of fleeing civilians swept them forward. Yet their hearts stayed behind with their missing daughter. 2 days later, desperate, they returned to the Ja Rang Bridge to search again. They hoped maybe she had been found by someone kind. Maybe she was safe somewhere. Maybe she would run into their arms. But once again, they found nothing. The loss carved a permanent wound into the lives of Mr. Chow and Mrs. Mott. The father grew ill from grief. The mother barely slept. They sold everything they owned, land, furniture, belongings, just to continue the search. "We had only a wardrobe and a single photo left," she remembered. That photo became their most precious possession, the last bridge to a child who had vanished into the fog of war. They searched refugee camps, shelters, orphanage lists, but each place only offered more heartbreak. And yet, year after year, they refused to believe their daughter had died. The absence of answers became its own fragile form of hope. A child found by strangers, raised by love. While one family was falling apart, another chapter of the story was forming quietly, thousands of miles away. In the chaos of that same moment at the Ja Rang River, a kind man walking along the roadside saw a tiny girl sitting alone on the ground. She was silent, confused, clutching a small cloth. No parents in sight, no one claiming her. The man did the only thing his conscience allowed. He picked her up and carried her to a temporary shelter set up at Vin GM Primary School. Inside, the classroom turned refuge center were 5 abandoned children. But this little girl, the youngest, immediately caught the attention of a woman named Hang Ti-tu. She walked into the room, and the child ran straight into her arms as if destiny had already chosen her new mother. The woman, who had no husband and no children of her own, took the girl home and named her Hang Truk Thao. The first 10 years of Thao's life were filled with love. Simple, quiet, unconditional love. But when her adoptive mother fell ill and passed away, the truth came forward. Thao was not her biological daughter, and the only information her mother could offer was a memory whispered through fading breath. "They found you by the road. You were so small. Find your real family if you ever can." After her mother's death, Thao lived with extended relatives. Life was unstable, unpredictable. Eventually, she tried to join her adoptive mother's family in America, but instead landed in a refugee camp in Palawan, Philippines. There, she spent 7.5 long years, waiting, hoping, surviving. Finally, she returned to Vietnam. She settled in Nha Trang, married a kind-hearted man named Lam, built a modest but peaceful life, and was later sponsored to the United States. She worked long hours in an envelope factory, raised 2 children, and did everything she could to provide them with the stability she had never known. But inside her heart, a quiet question grew louder each year. Who am I? Where did I come from? Is someone out there waiting for me, the way I've been waiting for them? One day, a Vietnamese coworker noticed Thao staring at a childhood photo, a black and white image of a little girl with curly hair and solemn eyes, and suggested she send her story to a Vietnamese TV program known for reconnecting long-lost families, Nu Chua Heko Quoc Chia Lai. The show had reunited hundreds of families. Maybe it could help hers, too. Thao hesitated. 43 years had passed. The world had changed. People had died. Landscapes had shifted. What were the chances? But in her heart, she whispered a quiet prayer and mailed the photo. Vietnam, meanwhile, was watching the same program. And in Kon Tum, a woman named Ngoc Mai, the youngest sister of Thu Na, the lost daughter, checked the website and suddenly froze. There, on her screen, was the face of a little girl with curly hair, a face that looked uncannily like her own daughter, a face that could only belong to her missing sister. She immediately contacted the show and provided a hair sample from her mother. Days later, the call came. The DNA had matched. Hang Truk Thao was, in fact, Nguyen Thi Thu Nga, the child they had lost 43 years earlier. The day the heart came home. October 5th, 2018, a date that would stitch together a wound carved into 2 lives nearly half a century earlier. By noon that day, nearly 70 family members had gathered in a home in Kon Tum. The air buzzed with excitement, disbelief, and fear, the kind of fear that trembles inside you when your deepest wish is finally within reach. What if she didn't recognize them? What if they didn't recognize her? What if the wound was too deep to heal? No one knew what to expect, but when the car pulled in and when the woman stepped out, small, gentle, nervous, everything else dissolved. The mother saw her child first. Her hands began to shake. Her lips quivered. Then she cried. Not soft tears, but the kind of agonizing, raw sobs that come from a lifetime of longing. She ran to her daughter and wrapped her in trembling arms. And the daughter, the woman who had crossed oceans without her roots, collapsed into her mother's embrace, crying uncontrollably. In that single moment, the noise of the world fell away and only 2 hearts remained, beating in perfect harmony for the first time since 1975. Family members stood around them, wiping tears, unable to speak. Some whispered prayers, others clung to each other. One of the sisters, Mai, whispered softly, "She looks just like us. Honestly, we didn't even need the DNA." But one person was painfully missing. The father, who sold everything he had searching for his daughter, who spent sleepless nights imagining her face, had passed away in 2005. He never lived to see this moment. Thao, now united with her family, walked to the altar and lit incense for her father. Her voice cracked as she spoke through tears. "Dad, I'm home. I'm really home." After the reunion, life welcomed a new rhythm. Though she had to return to America for work, she called her mother every single day, sometimes during her lunch break, sometimes after midnight. She sent gifts, medicine, milk, anything her mother needed. She became a daughter again, not in memory, not in hope, but in reality. In April 2019, she brought her mother to the U.S. for a long-awaited visit. She cooked for her, cared for her, introduced her to American life. Her children, meeting their grandmother for the first time, fell in love instantly. Her husband adored his mother-in-law, and despite a foot injury limiting their travel, the days were filled with warmth and rediscovered love. When it was time for her mother to return to Vietnam, the entire family cried, but this time, the separation didn't feel like a wound because they knew now that distance could never break them again. When love refuses to disappear. Some stories don't feel real until you see the tears for yourself. A mother waiting 43 years for her child, a daughter searching 43 years for her roots, two hearts pulled apart by war, stitched together again by fate, persistence, and the kind of love that refuses to disappear even after decades of silence. This reunion is more than a story. It is a reminder that even in the darkest chapters of our lives, something unseen may still be working for us. A reminder that there are bonds we cannot break, even when time tries to erase them. A reminder that no matter how far we roam, a part of us always remembers the path home. For those still searching for a missing loved one, this story stands as a light in the darkness. A whisper that says, don't give up. Love has a long memory, and sometimes, even after 43 years, miracles still happen. For those who have their family close, may this story inspire gratitude. Hug your loved ones a little tighter. Say the words you've been meaning to say. Time is unpredictable, but love, real love, endures. And for anyone watching this with tears in your eyes, know this: somewhere in the world, someone is waiting for you, thinking of you, loving you even in your absence. Just like a mother waiting every single day for the child she never stopped believing in. Because in the end, love always finds its way home.